Welcome. Let your eyes grow heavy. Let the worries of the waking world slip quietly away. Tonight, we journey to a different time, to a land of mist-draped forests and windswept hills, where ancient songs were whispered in the glow of hearthfire, and strange creatures moved in the space between belief and memory. This is a story rooted in the Anglo-Saxon past, in the old borderlands of early medieval England, where survival often depended more on loyalty than law, where heraldry was not just decoration, but declaration. It is here, in this twilight realm, that we find the Enfield beast, a creature from the edge of heraldic tradition, half ox, half eagle, a guardian of the fallen, a symbol of ancestral pride. Beyond its unusual form lies something deeper, a story about identity, survival, and myth-making, in a time when written history was scarce, and the line between beast and banner was thinner than you might think. Over the next hour, we'll explore this myth and the world it emerged from. We'll begin in the cold mud of early medieval Britain, walking in the weary steps of a border scout. We'll follow the legend of the Enfield through its origin, through blood feuds and dying oaths. We'll trace the creature's journey into coats of arms and secret society. And finally, we'll sit at the long tables of the Anglo-Saxon nobility and hear the tales whispered there, between mouthfuls of meat and mead. Let your mind wander now, not away from history, but into it. The path ahead may be dim, but it is quiet and soft beneath your feet. Let us begin. Chapter 1. Smoke and Bramble. Life as a border scout in early medieval Britain. Imagine yourself waking just before the sun. The air is sharp, not with cold exactly, but with damp. The kind that clings to your cloak, that settles into the bones of your finger. You are a border scout in early medieval Britain. Not a soldier, not a knight, but something between. A watcher, a listener, a choir protector of your people's edges. The time is uncertain. Perhaps it is the 7th century. Perhaps later there is no central calendar. Only seasons and scars. The land around you is vast. Forested hills stretch into low valleys. The trees are older than memory. Day creak and murmur in the wind. You carry a spear, but it is more for wolves than men. Still you keep one eye eastward, toward the border, toward the forests that separate your land from theirs. Sometimes it's the Danes, sometimes a rival alderman, sometimes nothing at all. But the silence still feels like a warning. Your job is not glorious. You rise early, eat little, walk for hours, boots sinking into moss and bramble, eyes flicking from tree to tree, hoping to see nothing. You don't expect comfort, not here. A warm hearth is for the elders, the lords, men. For you, there is mud, wind, and silence, but still, in that silence, there are stories, the old ones, told by your mother when you were small, whispered now by your comrades around the fire when need loosens their tongues. Stories of the Enfield beast, a creature that watches the borders, to par-fox, with a raptor's talons and wings tucked against its sides. Some say it only appears when a noble warrior has fallen in battle, that it guards the body, snarling silently at those who would defile the dead. Others say it walks the woods at dusk, its claws clicking softly on the stones, its eyes glowing with the last light of day. Do not speak of it aloud, not in daylight, but when you see a strange track in the soil, when the birds go quiet all at once. You remember, and you walk a little faster, because life here is not just about toil. It is about thresholds, borders, edges, not only between kingdoms, but between worlds, between man and beast, life and death, myth and memory. The Enfield, whatever it is, belongs to that edge, and so do you. You return at dusk, boots-soaked eyes burning from wind. You sit by the hearth, staring into the flame, and think again of the creature, not in fear, but with the solemn respect that all watchmen feel for those who stand guard in silence when no one else sees. Chapter 2. The Beast that Guards the Fallen. The legend of the Enfield's origin. We move now from mud and frostbitten patrols into legend. The Enfield beast, unlike dragons, hydras, or griffins, is not found in ancient epic poems or Roman scrolls. Its story is quiet, localized, almost secret, but in that silence, it becomes something more intimate. Let us look first at its form, a strange one to be sure. The head of a fox, the body and forelegs of an eagle, the hind quarters of a wolf or lion, the tail of a stag. And sometimes this is not a chimera of chaos. The Enfield is a creature of purpose. No, a creature built not to terrify, but to guard. According to tradition, the Enfield appears only when the noble fall in battle. Not just any warrior, but one who dies in loyalty, defending kin or king. It comes silently from beyond the trees, or rising from the mist, and stands over the fallen body. The talons of an eagle grip the blood-soaked earth. Its valpine face is calm, alert, watching. It does not attack, but those who would desecrate the body, plunder the armor, steal the ring, feel their blood chill, and they leave. There are no early medieval chronicles that name this creature directly, but there are whispers, marginalia, carved corners of church pews, odd animal figures in Old English bestiaries with unfamiliar shapes. And then there is the name, Enfield. The creature's legend is most closely tied to the borough of Enfield in North London, a name that dates back to the Doomsday Book of 1086. But its use as a heraldic symbol emerges much later, not in the medieval age proper, but in the Tudor era. Families looked backward when to construct a noble past. Among the most famous families to use it was the O'Kelly clan of Ireland, who claimed the beast as their crest, their motto. Turis fortis Mehidus, God is my strong tower. The legend tells of a noble ancestor slain in battle, defending the High King. And from the mist rose a creature, the Enfield, who stood over his body until it could be retrieved. Was this tale written long after the fact? Perhaps. But that is the way of myths. They are not born in the moment, but revealed through memory. And for a family seeking continuity, a strange, silent beast that guards its dead is more than a curiosity. It is a symbol of loyalty that does not end with death. Other tales surfaced, often orally passed from father to son, embroidered with each telling. In one, the Enfield is said to live at the edge of an ancient forest, appearing only during blood moons to lead the dying home. In another, it is the last vision seen by warriors who die honorably, a final escort before darkness takes them. Unlike many monsters, it is not malevolent. It does not hoard, hunt, or haunt. It watches. It waits. Pete keeps vigil. There is something deeply human in that. For what is grief, if not the longing to protect those we've lost? And so, the Enfield became not just a beast, but a quiet kind of ideal, a creature of principle, of loyalty, of sacred silence. And perhaps that is why it has survived, not in the pages of ancient tomes, but in stone, in ink, in the stories told at family tables when the fire burns low. As you listen to this now, the Enfield may feel distant, imagined, but remember, many truths begin as symbols, and many symbols endure longer than the facts they once reflected. Now, let us step further into the shadows, into the old symbols and the deeper mystery. Why would a creature with no clear place in ancient texts come to represent something so sacred? Across borders, across time, the answers lie not in legend alone, but in archaeology, in ritual, and in the strange, quiet places where history leaves no firm path. Chapter 3. Bone, banners, and burials, unearthing the symbol of the Enfield. Now we descend, softly, slowly, into the soil. Beneath our feet lie stories without ink, bones without names, fragments of metal worn, smooth by time. And in these quiet remains, we begin to search not just for the Enfield, but for the human need that gave it form. The Enfield may not appear in ancient bestiaries, but its pieces, the fox, the eagle, the lion, the stag, are drawn from an older symbolic language. To understand it, we must stand in the middle of the Anglo-Saxon worldview, a cosmos not divided by science or certainty, but by proximity to the sacred. Animals, to the people of early medieval England, were not only beasts, they were signs, messengers, sometimes even ancestors. Let us begin with the eagle, a bird of vision, of sovereignty. Among Germanic tribes, the eagle was associated with battlefields. A scavenger, yes, but also a watcher of the sky. Its talons in the Enfield are no accident. They symbolize judgment and transition. Now, the fox, a clever creature, silent, sharp-eyed. To the early English, the fox was liminal, neither purely good nor evil, but elusive, a fitting face for a creature born of borderlands. And the lion, or wolf, a universal emblem of strength, territory, the protection of kin. The beast's rear haunches, powerful and grounded, suggest that the Enfield is no passive spirit. It can act, if it must. Lastly, the stag's tailor, curious detail. The stag in ancient Britain was associated with the other world. It moved between the mundane and the magical. Its antlers shed and regrown, like the cycle of life itself. Even in fragmentary form, this nod to the stag suggests that the Enfield is a guardian not only of bodies but of souls. Now imagine you are an archaeologist digging at the edge of an old manor in North London, not far from where Enfield would later stand. You lift a rusted crest from the earth, bronze, faintly engraved, a strange creature, mismatched in part. Not quite lion, not quite eagle. You bring it to the light and realize this was a banner, emblem, a piece of heraldic identity, perhaps from the Tudor age, when noble families drew mythologies around themselves like cloaks. Put deeper in the strata, you find older objects. A fox carved into a spindle whorl, an eagle etched into the corner of a drinking horn, stag antlers buried beside a man of some importance. There is no inscription to tie them together, no scroll declaring here lies the Enfield, but taken together. These fragments suggest a language of reverence, a cultural grammar, where such a creature could be imagined and believed in. There are also tales of burial customs, passed down by local oral traditions, where warriors were laid to rest with carved tokens, amulets shaped like animals, placed at the chest or beneath the tongue. Some say these were meant to protect the body, to guard the soul. On its passage, a talisman, a guide. And what is the Enfield, if not the sum of those symbols? Part protector, part messenger, born not from one myth, but many layers of belief and longing. In heraldry, the Enfield becomes codified, no longer a mystery glimpsed in the trees, but a statement, a crest, a symbol on wax seals, on battle standards, behind gravestones. But even here, its meaning remains hushed. Families used the Enfield to say something unspoken, that they honored the dead, that they remembered sacrifice, that even in chaos, there is something that still watches over them, not a roaring beast, not a punishing god, but a quiet shape with eyes that see beyond battle and claws that do not strike. unless they must. In this way, the Enfield bridges the sacred and the practical, the imagined and the historical. It reminds us that myth is not always born from fantasy. Sometimes it is assembled carefully from real fears, real losses, and a deep desire for meaning. Now, let us leave the bones where they lie. Let the artifacts rest and follow the legend one last time into the grand halls of those who claimed the Enfield as their own, as their silent companion. There we will find not swords, but stories, not beasts, but lineages. And in those stories, we will feel the heartbeat of a culture, trying to remember who it was, through the shape of a creature that does not quite belong. Chapter 4. Oaths and Ornaments. The Enfield, a noble lineage and heraldic memory. Now, let us step from the forest and the field, from the grave and the glinting claw, into the halls of stone and silk, into the homes of those who did not live by the spear, but by legacy. The noble houses of the Anglo-Norman and later Tudor world did not simply inherit land. They inherited stories, and with stories came symbols, badges, emblems, creatures curled in gold leaf upon family banners, painted on shields, carved above arched doorways where the wind echoed for centuries. And in some of those banners, rare and strange, lurks the image of the Enfield. Let us begin with the O'Kellys of Ireland. Though far from the Anglo-Saxon heartlands, their heraldic use of the Enfield is perhaps the most enduring. Records from the 15th century show the creature perched proudly upon their crest, accompanied by the motto, Teres fortis mihi Deus. God is my strong tower. But why the Enfield? According to family legend, their ancestor Tudge fell at the Battle of Clontarf in 1014, fighting beside High King Brian Boru against Norse invaders. As the story goes, when he died in the fray, an unknown beast emerged from the sea or mist. Descriptions vary, and stood over his body until it could be recovered. A guardian, a vinyl sentinel, not to fight, but to ensure dignity, memory, honor. And so the creature was adopted, not as a roaring lion, not as a menacing dragon, but as a silent custodian. The O'Kellys were not alone in this. During the Tudor and Elizabethan periods, many English and Irish families sought to legitimize their lineage by linking themselves to mythic pasts. Coats of arms were a kind of official storytelling, where foxes, eagles, stags, and wolves, once creatures of oral folklore, became frozen in heraldic poses, each with its own speechless message. To bear the Enfield was to say something subtle but powerful. It said, we are descended from guardians. We remember the fallen, protect our own. In the borough of Enfield, just north of London, the beast appears again. In the 20th century, it was adopted as a municipal symbol, a nod to history, to the quiet strangeness of English place names, and to a beast that had become part of local identity. Even now, modern iterations of the Enfield survive. In-town logo on old gravestones, in university heraldry, silent, unexplained, but present. In these noble houses, life moved differently. There was no mud on the boots, no dawn patrol, but there were rituals, weddings, alliances, disputes, all wrapped in the language of symbol. A knight might ride beneath a banner bearing a lion to show strength. A scholar might choose the owl for wisdom. But what of those who chose the Enfield? They chose memory, guardianship, something softer and older. Even in their long halls, where wine was poured from silver, and poetry read by lamplight, the noble remembered the borderlands, the edge of the forest, the night watch, and perhaps that is the secret of the Enfield's endurance. It is not loud, not boastful. It is not a creature of fire, but of dignity. A being that stands, even when no one watches, to honor those who can no longer ride. Let us imagine one last time a great hall, empty at midnight. Banners hang in the shadows. The hearth is dying, and above it, carved in oak, an Enfield curls around a family crest. Its talons extended, its eyes open, still watching, not for enemies, but for remembrance. It does not move, it does not speak, but it remains, because someone must. And now the fire has grown low, the banners hang still, and our path gently comes to an end. You have walked tonight through shadowed woodlands, through bone-strewn fields, through ancient halls lit by flickering torchlight. You have stood in the boots of the forgotten, watched the mist for signs, and followed a creature not of thunder or glory, but of silence. The Enfield beast, that strange, quiet guardian born of story, loss, and longing. In a world where so many symbols clamor for dominance, this creature chooses another path. It does not roar, it does not demand, it remembers a talon in the earth, a fox's gaze, a noble beast that appears when the brave fall and lingers until dignity is preserved. In many ways, it is not just the myth we needed, but the one we wanted to be true. That when the worst has happened, someone will still stand, even if they are made of feathers and fur, even if they only exist in whispers. Perhaps tonight, as you drift deeper into stillness, you feel that presence, that watchfulness, not threatening, but comforting. Not all guardians carry swords. Not all warriors ride in daylight. Some wait in twilight, half seen, half remembered, and in the folds of history they remain. The Enfield is one of them. So rest now. Let the myths grow soft around you. Let the echoes of oaths and footfalls fade. You are no longer in the forest, or the battlefield, or the stone hall. You are here, safe, still, and watched over, by stories that do not end, but sleep beside you. Good night. And may your dreams be guarded by quiet things, with gentle eyes.